want to tell us what God's been doing in your life? Come on.
Older, I get more behind the scenes. It's just making me nervous. Bless the Lord. I wanted to talk more about what this church did for me. On a Friday night, 10 years ago, I found...
She's fine.
I found myself with a 3-year-old at a battered women's shelter in Portsmouth. That evening, she gave me Edith's phone number, and I called her. And the only question she asked me was, am I ready for God's plan in my life? Reluctantly, yes, I was. And she picked me up the very next morning. No question. To put my past in a simple way, I had quit God. I gave up. I was done. I quit. And then I landed in a pit of anything that was not of God. If it was not of God, it was of me. But God didn't quit me. That's right. That's right. He even had Edith on standby for me. She didn't have to answer the phone that day. But she was doing what God told her to do. We arrived at Covenant House on a Saturday morning. She explained the rules. We met the girls. Next morning, I walked in those doors. I was scared. I was the bad girl, the new girl. I don't know why anybody would want anything to do with me. I thought that they were all just going to say, she's a gigantic sinner and all hope was lost. I had heard that before. But the second I walked in that door, I was loved on like family. I wasn't even seen as a Covenant House girl. I was seen as a lost child of God who had made my way home. I was welcomed with no judgment of my past. It took some time for me to understand that God still loved me, even after the way I had treated him. And as Edith can tell you, I'm pretty stubborn, so it took a little while. But I did come back to God in this church. I recommitted my life right there. I was baptized right there. I received the gift of tongues, 3rd row on the left. That's right. That's right. I have danced, prayed, cried, and laughed all over this church. The church and the people in it has taught me more than I could stand up here and tell you about. But probably the most that I use is how to serve. I did the bus route, I worked in the kitchen, I helped Edith with the new girls, and as some of you remember, I am the eater of the last bite of cereal. They'll explain that to everybody else later. I was also taught how to accept life's challenges and hit them straight on and don't give up. I have also learned that as long as you are following his will, you will gain the desires of your heart. My biggest desire, was to meet the son that I had placed a up for adoption when I was 15. I met him 2 years ago. And I get to spend this week with him. I will have both of my children with me. This church also helped to bring me to a place of freeing me from my addictions. Drugs, anger. I was mad all the time. And in turn, it helped me be a better mother to my daughter. I was taught how to love myself and accept the forgiveness of God, which was the hardest part for me. Today, I live in Denver. My husband of 6 years, my 13-year-old. My son is now 17. I am 6 weeks away from being a college graduate. I never thought this meth-addicted, bruised, and beat person would be a college graduate. When I think of Covenant House and Hatfield Assembly of God, they are two separate buildings, but they are filled with the same God. That's right. Thank you to the ones who shared God with me. I pray nothing but great blessings on you in this church, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for welcoming me home.